All right, let's get this thing kicked off. So first of all, I just want to thank you guys for joining us again. It's been another week of heavy development, so we will get started by giving you guys an update as we typically do, and then we'll go straight into questions. Now, this week we've only had 3 questions submitted prior to the AMA, so if you guys have any questions that you want to get off your chest, please feel free to ask in the chat, and we'll get them answered as well. And typically, as you know, we answer the written questions first, and then we open it up if anybody wants to ask any questions on stage. So this week, I've been focused obviously on timelines. We're coming towards the end of the sprint. We've got basically the rest of this working week left. So by Monday, it should be finished, which means on Tuesday, we will be releasing timelines next week. So a week tomorrow, timelines will be released. Unless there's any major upsets in the next week, I can't see any reason why we would miss that deadline. But it's looking likely that Tuesday next week, we'll see the release of timelines. Now, with timelines, we're going to be doing a few things that are different. One thing that I want to do is basically modernize the whole GMR stack. So the GMR Center, I think the second version that we released about 2.5 years ago now, it was definitely a big improvement on the previous one, but there was a lot of functionality missing. And also, I do believe that it became quite dated quite quick. So we've been teasing some new UI style in the form of Leet Lotto, and also in the feature request dashboard. We've been using new elements and stuff like that, and just testing a kind of new idea in terms of how the GMR Center might look. So with timelines, we're going to see more of that. And timelines is going to slowly but surely swallow the whole application. So what I mean by that is right now, the GMR Center is federated, separated. Everything is in its own little domain. And it was built like that on purpose. So streaming is in streaming and so forth, right? And channels are in channels, and your wall, so to speak, is on your profile. So basically what we are hoping to do with timelines is to bring everything together. So you look at platforms like X and so on, and what they've done really well at is creating a super integrated experience. So when people are live, you consume media, long form articles, tweets, or whatever you want to call them nowadays. It's all in the same kind of platform. And I think really only your DMs and your profile is kind of separate from the main timeline. And slowly but surely, what we're going to do is something similar with timelines. So it's going to feel like a separate thing initially, the timelines, just like everything else. But what we'll do really is slowly but surely integrate everything into the timeline until it's swallowed the app completely. This is part of a push from my side, and also through conversations with people like Frank, who has had some really good opinions on how the Gamer Center kind of feels, and a few others have also shared similar opinions. So that's one thing that we're going to do. So next week when we release timelines, it's going to be a little bit different than the existing social experience, but I believe a much more richer, much more integrated experience. Also, images, you will be able to upload multiple images, which is obviously a feature that is currently missing from the Gamer Center, which is a bit of a shame. So thankfully, that's going to address that. Now, when it comes to videos, the application supports videos, and we're going to roll videos out slowly to select users over time, just because the storage and bandwidth consideration with videos is obviously much, much greater than images. So there will be videos on the platform, but obviously we're going to want to monitor the usage, roll it out in stages to certain power users, and then as the application becomes more used, basically, we can then start opening that up to everyone else. But obviously streaming still exists, and it still will exist. And in fact, streaming will come a bit closer to the timelines over time as well. So really excited for timelines next week, and hopefully we can start to see some more usage on the Gamer Center. That's something that I really want to do. So it's like with the streaming, one thing that I'm really excited about with the new timeline system is that when we bring streaming into timelines, we're going to support vertical streaming and also from your mobile device, so you can go live, so to speak, without necessarily streaming a game, which is something that I'm keen to see how people use it. Yeah, and there's a lot of good stuff that we can do with the new version of Timelines that I'm really happy for. Okay, elsewhere, in terms of the game, we are still waiting, unfortunately, on the game studio to give us the access for the mods. I'm literally waiting on an ETA right now. I'm in conversation with Hammerbyte today. So there was a situation with the servers. We just had to discuss about spinning up the servers. We seem to have got an answer on that. And now I'm just waiting to hear back from the Hammerbyte team about when we're going to be able to get this into the hands of the mods. Because the trust members in particular, because I know obviously that's something that we're super keen to do. And one of the main reasons why we're really keen to get this into the hands of the trust members is because we're currently discussing what direction the marketing team can take with this game. So it's really important that they get their hands on it. Frank's just dropped the questions in. Thanks, dude. I do have them from the mod chat, but thanks for that. So actually, this is a perfect kind of segue into some of the questions that we're seeing. So in terms of, I think we've kind of just answered the second question. Unfortunately, I am waiting for the Hammerbyte team to hand that over. So one thing that... Well, let me just be clear, by the way. Neek, I got corrected on your name last week in our chat. I just want to apologise for mispronouncing it. I speak a Slavic language, and as a result, I kind of WYSIWYG it. What I see is what you get. So Niek is an actual sound. So I do apologise, dude. So Neek has basically asked 3 questions, and the second question, which is basically when will the trust members get to play Battle League? So I kind of answered that, but I just want to add a bit more meat to the bones. So obviously the Hammerbyte team are a separate team of developers. They're their own game studio, and as a result, it's not kind of way within my control in terms of the timelines that we're presented. Obviously, it is something that we work with, and we were told around mid-October. Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud, and so we kind of get given it and then just let you guys know. So apologies, I'm learning from these mistakes in terms of how we send the message out. But the point is, and was, and will remain, is that the game is pretty much ready. And we're just waiting on these snags to be overcome so that we can get the game released. Now, just to be clear, and this is feeding into the third question that Nick asked. When it comes to the trust members, I just want to really kind of set some kind of expectations here. So the first, and the reason I'm saying this is because the third question, we'll get to the first one in a moment, Nick. Sorry for taking it out of order, but I think it kind of makes sense. The third question that was asked was, when solutions instead of forwarding every time? Patience is almost over in August. Essentially, what Nick is saying is that there was confidence in August that the trust members coming in and that there'll be some movement on that side, and that he doesn't want to blame the trust members if they can't do anything. They can't do. So, essentially, I guess the question is, when are we going to be able to move forward, and when are the trust members going to be able to move forward? So this is kind of answering that question. Is first of all, I want to set some expectations. These guys are obviously volunteering. The dream scenario here is that what happens is that we build the project in the direction that we're planning to take it, and that these roles become full-time, permanent, paid employment, of course. that would be the dream, right? And that's what we're working towards. So the guys who took up these roles, they're very much aware that the burden, if you like, is that we build the project to such a degree that these become actual positions within the organization, paid positions, let me say this. Volunteering is still a position regardless. So I want to just make that super clear. And the reason I'm saying that is because although expectation is high, just keep in mind that they are obviously giving up their free time to actually conduct these roles. Now, in terms of allowing them to do their job, there are still tools that they need access to. That much I do admit. So I know, for example, that Fitos is super keen to get access to be able to produce things like the light paper and stuff like that. And in fact, today I think, although I don't think the access request has gone through yet, actually. So he will be getting access to that. That is something within my control, and that's what I'm going to make sure I do. Now, in terms of the social media stuff, really, what we're talking about is X, and we are working on that. I just need to get basically the payment approval on the account, so we'll get that sorted. However, we are in conversation right now in the trust about how we can be more effective as a team. And obviously, this is something that is going to take time as we understand roles, understand how to work together, bearing in mind that one, of course, like mentioned, they are volunteering and their availability is different than mine. And two, we are in different places in the world. So there's a lot of asynchronous conversation going on. But I admit that we do obviously want to start showing different things and doing different things. But all I ask is just be a little bit more patient, and we will get there. Now, the first question, to answer the first question last, because why not? When will the trust get access to socials? Is basically, anytime. I mean, right now, Reddit, we can definitely give mod positions on Reddit. They just need to reach out to, in fact, actually, if anyone wants, I think it's Chris who's handling Reddit. So that's something that we can do now. And it's just a case of getting the other ones nailed down. So yeah, that's a kind of non-answer. So apologies, dude. Okay, right. So let me see. Any more questions? So so I think there was just a clarity there from Nick about what he meant. Another question from Mist. App update. I actually. So just so you know. The app for the GMR Center, we did reach out to the team, and unfortunately, we just not heard anything back. Now, the good news is I did pull down the repo myself, so I think I might be able to get that pushed out anyway. Granted, guys, like obviously time is stretched right now, so perhaps once timelines are released, I can look into that. But the team that we used are obviously being quite unresponsive right now, but it was quite a while back, like 2 years ago or something. Okay, and Chris is MIA. Okay, Frank, no worries. I think I might even have permission, so I will look at it and see. But in fact, just in the trust chat, if you want to drop any kind of Reddit handles that you guys have, and I'll get them admitted. Okay, all right, cool. So I think that's about it really on the written questions. So I'm going to play some music and we can take the next 5 or 10 minutes, just see how things go. If you guys have anything you want to ask on stage, then please feel free. Actually, you know, one thing I think we can do while we're waiting, if anyone has questions or not, let's chat a bit about what's going on in the news. So what are your thoughts on the whole CZ pardon? I'm curious. Is this we're so back, or is this we're so cooked? I don't know. Like, I mean, they did some pretty naughty stuff, to be fair. So what does this mean for us? Is this good news, bad news? What do you guys think? I was watching it and I saw CoffeeZilla already put a video out about it, about how crime is legal. So I guess he's pretty much nailed his position. But I don't know. I know there was a lot of, I watched that video from CoffeeZilla. There was a lot of shady business with the administration over there in the US prior to his pardoning. Yeah, one hand washes the other. Frank, yeah, I guess I don't know. It's kind of. I tell you one thing I don't like. So Frank obviously makes the point that it might be bad for crypto rep in total, and I do think one kind of potential, I guess, issue that we might face as an industry moving forward is that the Trump administration, whether you like them or not, it doesn't matter. This is not a political conversation. But one thing that I will say is their strong support of crypto. I do wonder what will happen if the opposition ever get into power. Will they do what the Trump administration do and basically undo everything the previous admin do? Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So Coastal Nomad exactly sharing the same things. I really will be curious because I really don't know what direction it's going to go. And another thing that Coastal Nomad says is that central backed coins are scary. Is that what you mean? CBDCs? You mean central? The central bank backed stable coins, right? That they're scary. Well, I would agree with you, except again, the Trump machine. Trump's got his own project called World Liberty Finance, and they have their own stablecoin called USD1. Now, I thought the kind of direction stablecoins were moving in were that basically central banks will swallow the market. They'll offer the backing and they will control the market, and that things like USDC and USDT will be a thing of the past. However, the highest power in the West, if you like, being the US government, the sitting president has released via his outlet, is kind of interests, their own stablecoin. So how could the Fed ever release a competing stablecoin? I don't know. I guess my fears on that front are not quite the same anymore. Yeah, and yeah, you're probably right, Frank. They do like a good rug pull, that family. Yeah. So let's see. Miss does have a question though. You have to make it from scratch for the app, or can you use the existing work the company has done? And what's the difference BL have with other gaming projects that'll make GMR shine among the darkness? They're a really good question. So first of all, the app that was produced by the external team was basically a wrapper around our existing web app. So it just allowed you to install it as an application, and it gives us more permissions on the device. So if we want to send notifications, we can, and a few other things as well. And when I say permissions, I don't mean access to data. Let me just be super clear. I just mean just like a general app would have, right? So it was basically a wrapper around the website. I'm not a fan. I don't like doing that. I think if you're going to build an application, you should build it for the native device. So like in Swift for iOS and Kotlin, no doubt, for Android. But I understand the reasons and the appeal why Ryan sought that service, because it was fast to market. Ironic, since they stalled on us after so long, but it's faster to market, and you can literally just use the same app with over-the-air updates. Now, in terms of Battle League, what makes it different? So the game itself is fun, I would say, which obviously is not much different than any other fun game. But for me, the most important thing with Battle League is its integration with the GMR ecosystem. So there are things we can do within the game that impact your experience on the Gamer Center itself, on other apps that you use that are related to the Gamer Center, such as Leet Clicker, or in the future with what we're hoping to kind of produce with a reboot with Fitos and whatever that may be, and any other game that eventually the SDK will support. So it's basically bringing the blockchain into games via traditional means. So we abstract all the kind of headache of integrating blockchain into games, and it allows game developers to use aspects of the blockchain via our systems within the game. And Battle Leet will be the first kind of major, if you like, game to use it. So that's what makes it different. Yeah, I caught up on the chat earlier, and I think I saw on X or Twitter, whatever you guys. I'm just going to call it Twitter because X sounds a bit weird. I saw it on Twitter that I don't know who it was, but some AI maxi was saying that vibe coding games by the end of the year will be the new norm. Now, that remains to be seen. But definitely, I think AI is allowing people to experiment in ways that they've never been able to do before. So I'm really curious to see how things go. And Ultimo knows he has full support from the team here as well. Yeah. So do you think you can make? And thanks, Nick. Sorry if you're gone. Sorry. Do you think you can make Gamerverse 2D with AI a lot quicker than just playing coding on your own? So. You know, it's really interesting because we're in the process of providing a platform for FITOS to actually get involved in development. And as a result, I've been making some short clips to onboard him into the way I like to do things and the way we develop. And I made a few comments about AI in that. And my kind of feeling on this is I've kind of come around in a full circle. I think, you know, when it first came on the scene, just simply being in the world of engineering and development in general, I kind of know that what's on the horizon. So not that like I'm some kind of like mystic or anything. I mean, just my algorithms are tuned to serve me things like this, right? So when ChatGPT was coming around, I remember GPT-2 trying to do some CSS battle, which was fun. And when I first saw that, although it was totally shit, honestly, but it kind of like sparked in my imagination like what this potentially could result in. And then when ChatGPT kind of first came on the scene, you see the limitations right away of context windows and token usages, and essentially, basically, I've gone full circle from it's okay, it will help with my productivity to, oh shit, what's going to happen to my job in the future? And now I'm back at, yeah, it's kind of all right, it'll help, but it's not good enough. And I'll tell you why. Basically, I've been experimenting to try to get it to be able to produce code, like production ready code, and unfortunately, it's just not ready for that yet. Now, there are people on Twitter who will have you convinced that you can basically write just about any application with AI. And that's true if you don't care about security, efficiency, reusable code, good code. So, you know, if you don't care if anyone can get access to users' data, you know, all these things are kind of like super important, obviously. And you can write rules for AI to follow as it codes. And I spent a lot of time writing some good rules just to get it to program against the way I like to do it. And not because I know best, but just because, well, you know, I've been writing production code for a long time. So I want any code produced by AI to do the same thing, right? Because I'm the one who's going to have to maintain the bastard. So I don't want to have this magic box produce spaghetti code and then have to unpick it every time there's a problem. Anyway, so, and I'm not alone, by the way. I'm in communities who are trying to do the same thing. And you can get kind of all right, but eventually it just starts following its own rules. It doesn't, it rewrites code all the time. It never abstracts logic in the correct way. It's just not there yet, is all I would say. So in terms of will it help me write faster? Well, I would say AI already does help in terms of productivity. So what I use it for now solely is basically inline completions, just code suggestions, just like autocomplete on a text. You know, when you're sending your messages. that's all I use it for now. And maybe to help spitball some kind of grand ideas. Like I will talk about big picture ideas to help kind of make a decision. Mist, you know what? It's not that I'm better. Do you know what it is? It's we as humans at the moment, we have the ability to hold more context, and that's it. I do think it's a context issue in general. So, like, what I would say is, for example, when I set up a repo, I'll have I will kind of like break out modules into feature packages. So authentication, users, database, blockchain, all these things, right? And I write them in a pretty standard way as well. And it's just I'm able to understand, for example, if my core package has a set of constants already defined, whereas I have to always tell the AI to look there and use them first. And you could call it skill issue, you could call it whatever you want. And I know there are people on Twitter who are adamant about it, but the serious programmers, the people who are writing real production code, basically software engineers, I think they kind of probably will share a similar opinion that yes, maybe one day when context issues are kind of resolved properly, then maybe this is it. But right now, I just don't think we're there. Frank's asking, which AI do I find myself using? So I'm experimenting with Cursor at the moment, which is a code editor, which has AI integrated. And you can choose your model on that. Now, what I will say is, first of all, with Cursor, I don't use the chat so much. So I don't talk to AI about the code from Cursor because, like I said, I just don't think it can. I think I'm faster to get to the answer than the AI could be and integrate. And if I ask the AI to make wide sweeping changes, yeah, it's just a headache for 4 or 5 hours after trying to clean it up. Now, if you're a beginner, I think those chat screens, these chat panels inside these code editors are really good at explaining a repo when you first enter it. So that's probably what I would use it for if I'm a beginner. Now, in terms of the specific models, honestly, Frank, there's not much difference. I know there are people on social media who would like to probably hang me from a tree for saying that, but there's actually not much difference. All of these services are ultimately using the same foundational models, whether it's Claude or OpenAI's ChatGPT and so on, or Gemini. So there's like these, obviously the big tech have their own implementation, and then everyone else is basically just wrapping around them. I think there's a couple, I tell you what, there's one that I do want to check out called Super Maven, and that's focused, I believe, mostly on just code completions within your editor, which is all I want to kind of use it for right now until it's good enough. Now, let me say one thing, guys. If you are a software engineer or getting into programming, learn to code, and you can use AI to help learn to code, but don't have it write the code. Just do the hard work. Get frustrated, fight the debugger, and do it the hard way, because otherwise, what will happen is you're going to let this magic box take control of your code base, and when things fuck up, which they will, who are you going to turn to? Because the AI is the one that screwed it up, right? And it's just going to keep saying the same thing, something like, "Oh, I see the problem now," or "Yes, I understand the problem now." So yeah, just learn to program if that's what you're interested in. Experiment with the AIs, that's fine, but don't be worried about getting left behind, because I'll tell you now, right? Everything that these people on social media will convince you of, that, oh, this is the tool, you need to be doing this right, you need to be saying it in this way, like everything that all these tools, if you are a software engineer anyway, you will learn them in a week. Like they're not that mysterious, I promise you. So anyway, so all right. So in Cursor, which one do I like? Again, I just stick with ChatGPT 5, just because there's not much difference, and I'm not really using it. So in fact, I don't even think in Cursor that I'm using any I mean, you can in the chat panel select the model, but I don't use the chat panel anyway. So I don't know whether Cursor is using its own kind of abstraction or its own model for its auto completions. I don't know. Okay, right. So would it be difficult to integrate with the center? We're talking about the API. So actually right now we have an API written that only Hammerbyte and ourselves with our proprietary tools have access to. But the idea is to package that API up into an SDK. And at that point, it'll be super easy to integrate into a game. Is my job about to disappear? I don't think so yet. I think there's still a little bit of time yet. There's a lot of optimism around AI right now, which is probably fair, but I don't think we're right there yet. Okay, Fitos wants his job to disappear. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the job disappearing, but the livelihood, I'm sure people might have a problem with that. Okay, so we need a pump to make us all have our job disappear. That's very true. Next. Soren asks, what's the general timeline to start see the SDK being sold to or used by game developers? It does seem to be the most unique part of GMR. So, yeah, I do think it is the most unique part of GMR. I think it's actually, for me, when I started this whole journey, that's the thing that intrigues me most. Now, we won't be selling it, by the way. People will be able to use it, and they'll have to fund their accounts to continue to use it using GMR. And the way I see it in terms of timeline, we need to get the game pushed into the wild to really understand how that API can serve people. And once we know, and actually, I'm really looking forward to the release of Battle Leet and also the little adventure that myself and maybe Fitos and maybe myself are about to go on, because we're going to be using the API in that as well, like we currently do in Leet Clicker as well. And basically what we need to do is we need to understand what kind of endpoints are worthwhile, what kind of data serves game developers best, which we're obviously already learning from the game team. And then based on that, we can start to shape up an SDK for release. Okay. All right, cool. So I think that about takes it up. I thought actually just having a general conversation might make this a bit more enjoyable for all of us. So hopefully you guys didn't get too bored. And if there was a question that slipped through the cracks or something that you were thinking, sorry about that. I kind of dropped off. Anyway, but if there's anything you guys felt like you wanted to get off your chest, drop it in the chat for next time, submit it to a moderator, and we'll get that answered. Thanks, guys. It's been great. And I will see you in the next one.